Still couldn't get signed. The list of turn downs where, you know, just, we don't want you guys. You're a joke. It was amazing.
We really got to the point where I think we were about to pack it in.
In the fall of '81, manager Mark Puma decided to make one last push to find a label to sign the sisters, even if it meant crossing the Atlantic.
I went to England and made some connections, and finally a small independent label in England wanted the band. Secret Records.
It's funny that it was called Secret Records because it pretty much was a secret.
It was really just the last-ditch effort after being rejected by every American record company like 5 times. It really was our last hope.
In July of '82, Twisted Sister flew to Britain. Within a matter of days, they recorded their first album, Under the Blade. The raw release quickly made the cut with London's hard rock underground. But more mainstream crowds weren't quite sure what to make of the sisters. At a music festival in Reading, England, in August '82, the band was abruptly bombarded by a barrage of food, bottles, and cans.
We were getting a lot of things thrown at us. And it's coming up and it's like, oh man, don't come, no, don't come this way. And tomatoes, peaches, cucumbers. I could have made a salad.
We're all standing there just going, damn, we had never experienced stuff being thrown at us at that level.
Had guts. I don't think I would have had those kind of guts. And, you know, people spit, and those world-class spitters, those people can spit, man. For distance and accuracy. It's good hock.
After dodging spit and salad fixings for most of the set, a Scottish roadie named Big John made a disgusting discovery.
Big John goes, man, you see, someone threw a piece of shite. And I'm like, what? He goes, they threw a piece of shite, man. They threw a piece of shite. And we're going, what? And one of the English guys wants to translate. He goes, hey, man, someone threw a piece of shit at you.
And it wasn't rubber. You know, I mean, yeah, Ozzy got hit with a rubber bat. This was a real piece of shit.
And I was sitting there going, how mad do you have to be to throw shit? I mean, and where do you get the shit? There's 30,000 people. It isn't like, oh, there's some shit. I mean, did he make the shit? And then how mad do you got to be to actually shit, then pick it up, steaming hot, and hurl it at a band?
In December '82, the band returned to the U.S. for a holiday break. But the sisters got a lump of Christmas-time coal when word reached them that Secret Records had gone belly up.
I remember thinking, okay, I get it. It is over. It is really over.
We've got no income. The whole band has no income. And that was in the winter, and it was dark. It was a dark, cold winter, and probably the most dire times for Twisted Sister.
Once again, Twisted Sister was hanging on by a fingernail. They had one last appearance scheduled back in England, a live gig on a television program called The Tube. The group felt it was their last chance to salvage their career.
We are Twisted Sister!
It was live TV, and we went out on stage, and people heard of us. Now, at this time, we were a buzz, but most people hadn't seen us. We went out, came out with the makeup, the full show, and people were horrified. Their jaws were on the ground.
I think you got a little hang-up, some of you people. I think there's some people out there who can't take Twisted Sister because of the way we look. That's the problem, isn't it now?
I'm working a crowd, and I can't get the audience going. So finally, I said, you know what? Is it the makeup? I said, is that what's bothering you?
So we got to take the makeup off now, don't we?
And I grab a towel, and in one thing, I wipe off all my makeup. And I said, now what's stopping you?
Is that the problem, man? I got too much makeup on, man. You can't take me seriously. I'm not crazy enough for you.
He is insulting everybody and screaming and shouting at them and cussing them out. And the audience is loving it. And they are going nuts.
Phil Carson was a senior exec for Atlantic Records in Europe. Having signed AC/DC and Yes, he was a legend in the rock business.
So at the end of the set, the manager says, "What do you think?" He says, I said, "Well, I'll sign them." I don't want to meet them. Have you seen them? Who wants to meet a group that looks like this? I'll sign them, but, you know, it's going to be a very, very inexpensive deal. We'll make the record, that's it.
So that was the stipulation of that contract. He wants to sign us, and we're going to make lots of albums, but he does not want us over his house.
Twisted Sister finally had a major label record deal. Now all they had to do was convince people that they deserved it. Next, the sisters take on the law.
We weren't doing anything wrong. We weren't, you know, having sex with farm animals. This is America, freedom of speech. Whatever happened to that?
And later, Twisted Sister comes undone.
The band was internally destroying itself.
When Behind the Music continues. After more than a decade of dues paying, Twisted Sister finally caught their break. In December of '82, Atlantic Records Europe exec Phil Carson signed the sisters, unaware that the company's American division had already rejected the group several times.
When I made that call over to Atlantic to tell them I'd signed Twisted Sister, that's the point where I realized they're not too happy with me for signing this group. I said, "Oh, okay, well, fine. Well, look, they're signed. I'm making the record, and I'm looking to you to make sure they sell."
Although Atlantic Records America wasn't that interested in the band, Twisted Sister was undaunted. In June of '83, they released the triumphantly entitled "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll." You can't stop rock and roll. The record had a more polished sound than the sisters' debut album, and their first music video sparked a fruitful friendship with MTV.
MTV pulled a few seconds of You Can't Stop Rock and Roll to use as a promo. That got a tremendous response. People wanted to know who the band was. Where's the music? You know, when can you see these guys? You can't stop rock and roll.
With almost no label promotion, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll bowled over metal-loving mobs on both sides of the Atlantic. The record sold 100,000 copies, shocking the head of Atlantic Records.
He said, "I didn't really support the band, and you sold 100,000 records on your own." He said, "But I understand now, and I'm going to make you the biggest band in the world next year."
The time was right for Twisted Sister to take off. In late '83, the LA band Quiet Riot released Metal Health, and it became the first heavy metal debut album ever to hit #1 on the charts. Dee was hell-bent on pushing the sisters to similar success.
I was a machine, and I was on a mission. You know, lead, follow, get the out of the way. Don't make a stand, just step aside.
I think at that point, creatively, it became very much insular. Dee didn't have that much input from the band anymore, and that's the reality of it.
If you don't have what it takes, don't try to play, you'll lose your faith.
I just kind of said, "Okay, fine, you know, team player, you go with it. Let's see what the end result is."
By the spring of '84, Dee Snider seemed to embody the band, an impression that would be fortified by the cover of the group's next album, Stay Hungry. The photo shoot for the record centered around eating a massive rotting cow bone. At first, all the band members were taking bites, but eventually the bone wound up with a solo sister.
I grabbed the stinky bone, and I started posing with the bone.
And that became the album cover, which sort of sealed the fate of the image of Dee Snider as Twisted Sister.
What is that?
Dee's influence would only increase. He was determined to create a visionary video for the album's first single, We're Not Gonna Take It, sharing his innovative concept with director Marty Callner.
What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock.
And I laid out the whole story of we're not going to take it with the father yelling at the son, and they proceed to blow Dad out the window. And the son turns into me, and then sort of torture Dad in a cartoonish manner. And he went, wow, this is great.
It was one of the first concept videos where there was a story, a beginning, middle, and end.
It wasn't the band just selling a product, it was a short movie in itself.
With the video at the vanguard of a publicity blitz, Stay Hungry was released in May of '84, and Twisted Sister quickly hit a heavy metal mother load.
Put the band on the map. It was groundbreaking in the fact that it showed how powerful a video could be to music sales.
The record got released in May. The record was gold by August, platinum by October, and the band was off and running on a worldwide tour.
Stay Hungry would eventually sell nearly 4 million copies, validating the direction Dee had taken the band.
Let's see what the end result is. The end result was a smash hit.
Dee was definitely a device, a weapon to conquer the world with. No two ways about it. No one could touch him.
Hello, students.
In the fall of '84, Twisted Sister released a video to their second single, another rebellious refrain called I Wanna Rock.
Mr. Sister.
All right, Mr. Sister, I want you to tell me, what do you want to do with your life? I want to rock!
Its cartoon-like violence was similar to We're Not Gonna Take It. And together, the videos attracted a younger audience to the group.
So many people were enjoying the entertainment value of the video and the catchy Twisted Sister songs that all of a sudden a younger crowd was starting to show up. And I mean younger, I'm talking about elementary school, junior high. Families were showing up at our concerts.
Turn the power up. I'm waiting for so long so I can hear my favorite song, so let's go!
But some found the band's R-rated act too racy for their prepubescent public, something the sisters discovered in October of '84 when a 9-year-old boy and his parents attended a concert in Amarillo, Texas.
Come on in, child, take my hand.
These parents are there, and they're hearing me tell somebody in the crowd to suck my d***. But I said that every night of the year when I was in the clubs. When someone was heckling me, suck my d***. That's New York. Of course, they weren't that familiar with that out in the heartland.
There's just 5 words to say as you go down.
Disgusted by Dee's remarks, the boy's parents immediately called the Amarillo Police Department.
You're gonna burn in hell.
I see all the police on the side, like, you know. And then, you know, we finished the set, and Dee goes off, you know, and then they grab him.
You can't believe all the things I've done wrong in my life.
I said, why? I said, well, some mother who brought her 9-year-old son to the show has pressed charges. She's offended by your language and the way you acted on stage, and I want to arrest you for disorderly conduct and maybe inciting a riot.
The next morning, Dee's arrest was front-page news. The public was outraged at his behavior, although the sisters couldn't see why.
Well, we don't care what you say. We're the bad boys of rock and roll.
We weren't doing anything wrong. You know, we weren't executing people. We weren't torturing people. We weren't, you know, having sex with farm animals. I mean, we were just up there and so what? Like you never said you know, or you never heard it. Oh, excuse me, you know. This is America, freedom of speech. Whatever happened to that?
What's wrong? Is it something we said? The bad boys.
Dee eventually settled the matter by paying a fine of $75. But the sisters would soon find there was a much higher price to be paid. Next, the sisters become whipping boys.
Twisted Sister became the poster child for everything wrong with rock and roll.
And later, the group implodes.
Bands spend most of their life fighting the world to get where they go. And then when they get there, then they destroy themselves.
When Behind the Music continues. It had taken 12 years